again, hydrogen. So you got 70% hydrogen in the universe, 70% in your body, 70% in the ocean. Somebody's trying to tell you something.
Jupiter.
Now, if you were the great creator, and at the beginning you said, okay, mankind, I'm going to give you perfect fuel. Poof, I'm putting these hydrogen and oxygen together and make water that sustains your life. And if you're smart enough, you'll learn how to pick it apart and make a fuel. Now, what happens when you burn this fuel? You get water emission coming out the back of your exhaust pipe. And as soon as the sunlight hits, it goes back to being water. Now, how can you invent any kind of a fuel cycle that perfect? So, I would say we're not only being stupid, but we're ignoring the obvious by not using it. And the only reason it didn't come along quicker is because oil companies got in a position where they could suppress alternate technologies, and they did. It's a matter of survival. I understand it, but I don't respect it.
With that big company,
yeah.
Just hope they don't bury it.
If they bury me, what's going to happen is everything I'm doing will become public domain, and it'll accelerate. So that's the best insurance I could have. Yeah.
I just want to remind you that I think that you have something really good there, and I know that you're going to develop it. Just remember, the veterans will need a lot of work.
Yes.
Make sure you have
Well, I tell you what, I was just talking to another guy that wants to finance us, and I said, I could have all these things made overseas. I said, no, we're going to do everything in this country. We're going to put Americans to work. We're going to pay a decent wage, and we're going to help Americans. And if we can get our economy off of oil, I mean, if you understand what happened in 1963 in Dallas to JFK, that wasn't just somebody pissed off at JFK. That was a whole thing going on there. What happened right after that was that we went off the gold standard. We went on to, within 5 years, we went on to an oil standard. And oil became the new gold. And oil became the tax base for the U.S. government. They get about 70% off of every gallon of gas in taxes, or 70 cents off of every gallon. And when it was $4 a gallon right before the Gulf War, what do you think that was for? That was so you could pay for the Gulf War and all the expenses of mounting that war and a bunch of other stuff that was illegally going on. But you could pay for it without really politicians standing up in your face and saying, I'm raising your income tax. They said, no, we're going to lower taxes. But we're really going to stick it to you with oil. So that's what they did. And the economy got bled so dry that most Americans were just right on the edge of collapse. And then when they manipulated the real estate bubble, that finished it. You know, most Americans are really close to the edge or already over it. So, I mean, hopefully we can come back from the brink, and I think new technologies are the way to do it.
Green technologies definitely has to be made at this country's industry.
Solar cells right now, to give you an example, they're approaching 50% efficiency, and their prices are dropping. And that is a really good technology. Coupled with my technology, it's almost a perfect solution, because you can take a solar field and put it out there, but it only has roughly 8 hours in a good area of sunlight. The other 16 hours of the day is dark. So what do? You take 10% of that solar field and you create hydrogen, and you store the hydrogen, and then you burn generators at night. So now you have a 24/7 cycle that's completely green, and you can feed a grid on the 24/7. So, any more questions?
One last question, if anybody has one. If not, just give Walt a big hand and a big thank you. Thank you all.